When I think about the house now, the first thing I remember isn't how it looked. It's how it sounded at night, when everything was quiet. I used to hear faint movements that didn't make sense, soft taps, slow shuffling, the dull creak of wood in places no one should have been standing. I told myself it was just an old house settling. I was wrong. And by the time I understood why, it was already too late. I was 14 when my parents finally split for good. The arguments had been going on for years, but the day my dad packed his things and left, it still felt unreal. My mum tried to stay strong for my younger sister, Lila, who was only 8 at the time, but I could tell she was exhausted in a way I'd never seen before. Money became tight. Almost immediately, we had to leave our old place and move into a rental house on the far edge of town. It was a narrow, 2-story place built sometime in the 1970s, with faded siding and a small backyard that backed up to a strip of woods. There was nothing obviously creepy about it, but it felt isolated. The nearest neighbor was half a block away. My mum said it was temporary. It wasn't. The layout was simple: living room, kitchen, and a small bathroom on the first floor. Upstairs were 2 bedrooms and a narrow storage closet at the end of the hall. The landlord told us the closet led to a crawl space under the roof where old wiring and insulation were kept. He told us not to go in there because the ladder was unstable. We didn't question it. The first few weeks felt normal. We unpacked. Leela argued about her room being too small. My mum worked longer hours at the hospital to keep up with rent. Most nights, it was just me and my sister at home until after midnight. I didn't like that, but I never said anything because I didn't want to add to my mum's stress. That's when the little things started. At first. It was food. A box of cereal would be half empty when we'd just bought it. The bread would go stale faster than it should because slices were missing. Juice boxes disappeared. My mum blamed Lila. Lila blamed me. I blamed myself. Then one morning, I found the back door unlocked when I was sure I had locked it the night before. My mum said I probably forgot. The house started making noises after dark. I'd hear the floor creak upstairs when Lila was asleep and my mum was still at work. Sometimes I'd hear something scrape lightly across the kitchen counter. Once, I heard the bathroom cabinet close when no one was in there. Every time, I told myself it was nothing, but my body knew better. I started keeping my bedroom door closed at night. Leela started sleeping with the light on. Neither of us said why. The first time the shower turned on by itself. I was alone in the house. It was a Thursday night. My mum was working a double shift. Leela had fallen asleep early. I was in the living room playing a video game with the volume low when I heard the pipes groan, then the sound of rushing water. At first, I thought my mum had come home early. I called out her name, no answer. The water kept running. I stood up slowly and walked down the hallway. Steam was leaking out from under the bathroom door. I knocked. The water shut off instantly. My heart started pounding. I pushed the door open. The bathroom was empty. The mirror was fogged. The air was warm. The towel on the rack was damp, like someone had just used it. I stood there, shaking, trying to come up with a logical explanation. There wasn't one that night. I dragged my dresser in front of my bedroom door and slept with a flashlight and a baseball bat next to my bed. The next morning, I found muddy footprints in the laundry room. They were adult-sized, bigger than my mom's, bigger than mine. They led straight to the narrow storage closet upstairs. When I showed my mum, she went quiet. She stared at them for a long time before grabbing a mop and scrubbing them away. She didn't say a word. That's when I knew she was scared too. We called the landlord. He came by and said it was probably raccoons or stray animals getting into the crawl space. He promised to check it. He never did. The noises got worse. Late at night, I'd hear slow footsteps above my ceiling. I'd hear breathing in the hallway. Once, I heard the faint sound of someone coughing inside the walls. I stopped sleeping, so did Lila. Everything finally came crashing down on a Sunday night. My mum was home for once. Lila was asleep. I was doing homework in my room when I heard the storage closet door upstairs slowly creak open. Then I heard a footstep, not an animal. Not the house settling, a human footstep. I opened my door and saw a shadow moving down the hall. I screamed. My mum ran upstairs, grabbed me and pulled me into her room. She locked the door and called 911. When the police arrived, they searched the house. Then they opened the crawl space. That's where they found him. He had been living between our walls for weeks, eating our food, using our shower, watching us sleep. They found notebooks full of schedules, times we went to bed, times my mum left for work, times Leela brushed her teeth. He knew everything as they led him away. He turned and smiled at me. We moved out the next day. I still hear footsteps at night, even when I'm alone. I've always loved the desert. There's something about the wide open spaces, the endless horizon, and the quiet that makes you feel small but alive. That said, after what happened to me and my friends, I'll never look at the desert the same way again. It started with a trip my college friends and I planned just outside Tucson, Arizona. There were 5 of us: me, Chris, Mike, Josh, and Matt. We were in our early 20s, reckless in that way that makes you think nothing bad could ever happen. We wanted to rough it, so we avoided campgrounds with bathrooms or other people. Instead, we found a dirt fire road that stretched for miles into the brush, perfect for what we thought would be a weekend adventure. We set up 2 tents about 10 feet apart. I shared one with Chris and Mike, and Josh and Matt had the other. At first, the night was perfect. Fire crackling, stars stretched across the sky. The desert silent but beautiful. The kind of silence where you could hear a twig snap from 100 yards. We laughed, roasted hot dogs, and sipped soda. Around midnight, we checked that all the food was in our trucks, tied down and closed. Mike assured us he'd handled it. Then sleep came, or at least it was supposed to. I woke a few hours later. The desert's so silent, it felt unreal. That's when I heard it. A sound against the tent fabric near my head. Heavy breathing, deliberate, sniffing. My heart dropped. At first I thought wildlife, a coyote, maybe a fox, but the rhythm didn't match anything natural. It moved along the tent's seams, brushing lightly against the nylon. My gut screamed that it wasn't an animal. I froze, nudged Mike, and whispered to be still. Chris stirred beside me, tense. Seconds passed, then I heard footsteps. 2, not 4, slow and heavy. They stopped in front of the other tent, where Josh and Matt were sleeping. Then, the tent zipper ripped open. Josh burst out, flashlight and handgun in hand. The beam cut across the darkness and landed on him. A man. He looked like he had been living in the desert for years. Clothes shredded, hair matted, gaunt, with wild, unblinking eyes. In his hand, he held a rusted hunting knife. The guy took a step toward Josh and slashed the air. Josh stumbled back, flipping the safety on his gun. The man paused, then bolted into the darkness. His gait was strange, almost animalistic. Within seconds, he disappeared into the scrub brush. We didn't waste time. We scrambled into our trucks and left, heart racing, every sound magnified in the silent desert. We drove straight back to the city, and didn't stop until we were in civilization. The next day, we tried to rationalize it. Probably just a transient, we said. He didn't actually hurt anyone, but the unease stayed. A year passed. I thought we were safe. We hadn't returned to the desert, but the memory never left me. Then, Josh brought it up. He had been thinking about going back, but this time, inside vehicles, no tents, locking doors. Everything hardened against an intruder. A week later, we all agreed to try it. We parked SUVs and a pickup truck with a camper shell. We made the camp, built a small fire, and laughed nervously at our paranoia. Midnight came, and we settled in. I set up my sleeping area in the back of the 4Runner, Chris next to me. Matt was in the other SUV, and Josh and Mike in the pickup. It was quiet at first, too quiet. Then I felt it, a light on my face. Not soft moonlight, a flashlight beam, harsh and deliberate, cutting through the tinted rear window. My stomach sank. I froze, pretending to be asleep. Chris was next to me, stiff as a board. The light traced over my legs, then moved to him. I gripped the tire iron I had placed beside me. The door handle didn't move, but I didn't breathe until the beam clicked off. Footsteps, slow, methodical. They moved toward Mike and Josh's truck. The man, older this time, heavier, with a thick grey beard, leaned in close to the camper shell, listening. I couldn't move. My heart pounded in my ears. He stood there for what felt like forever, watching, studying them like we were specimens. Then finally walked into the brush and disappeared. We didn't waste time. We screamed, banged on the vehicles, and threw everything loose into our trucks. Fire smoldering in the pit, we left, not stopping until we hit city limits. Silence settled in, but the fear stayed. Months went by. I tried to push it aside, but I couldn't. Every shadow at night made me tense. Every crackle of gravel outside my window made me freeze. I even started sleeping with lights on. Then I got a text from a friend. Signs of someone living in the desert near our first campsite. Makeshift blankets, scraps of food. Nothing stolen, nothing gone. Just a presence. It confirmed everything I had feared. This wasn't a random encounter. This person, or people, planned, studied, and waited. They weren't here for food or robbery. They were there for us. Then came the nightmares. I'd dream about waking in the trucks, someone's eyes pressed to the glass, their breath fogging the windows, the knife in hand, silent, patient. I'd dream of chasing headlights through the brush, only to find them always one step ahead. One weekend, against every instinct, we decided to hike near the original area, just a day trip, no tents. During the hike, I saw it, a shadow crouched on the opposite slope. At first I thought it was a rock. Then it moved, matching our pace. My stomach churned. We froze, trying not to make a sound. Every step we took, the shadow followed, never approaching, always observing. We turned back, panic setting in. As we descended, I saw footprints. Human, fresh, leading straight from the bush to where our trucks were parked. We didn't stop to investigate. We ran down the trail until we reached the vehicles. Doors locked, nothing missing. But I knew we were being watched. Weeks turned into months. I researched cases of desert disappearances, people vanishing without a trace in remote Arizona. Patterns emerged. People camping in isolated areas, vanishing, leaving footprints, tents undisturbed. I wondered if we had narrowly avoided the same fate. Then, months later, Josh called, his voice low, almost shaking. He's back. Josh had been hiking alone near the same desert. 30 minutes in, he heard footsteps behind him. When he turned, no one was there. The The footsteps matched his pace. Faster, no. Slower, no. Always matching. He ducked behind a boulder. The footsteps stopped. Then a shadow appeared down the trail, just standing there, watching him. Slowly, it melted into the brush. He ran back to his truck and didn't look back. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a random person. This wasn't a coincidence. This was deliberate, patient, calculated. Someone or something had marked us, observed us, waited for the right moment. It wasn't about attacking. It was about control, about fear, about power. Even now, I can't escape it. Every rustle in the bushes, every shadow at the edge of my property, my stomach drops. Every time I leave my apartment, I check behind me. Every camping trip I see online, I feel that creeping dread. I will never return to the desert, because out there, in the open spaces and the still silence, someone or something is watching, always watching, and I know it's still out there, waiting. I never considered myself brave. I've always been cautious, the type to check locks twice and avoid wandering into abandoned places. That's why I'm still alive to tell this story, or at least, I hope I am. It started with an abandoned hospital on the outskirts of my hometown. It had been closed for decades, left to decay under layers of graffiti and shattered windows. Locals told stories. Some said it was haunted. Others whispered about strange experiments decades ago. I wasn't interested in ghosts. I was curious, the morbid kind of curiosity that drives people to do things they shouldn't. I invited my friends, Sam and Lily, to explore with me. Sam was the reckless one, fearless in a way that made me nervous, while Lily was cautious but willing to go along with anything if it meant adventure. We planned the trip meticulously, or at least, we thought we did. Flashlights, gloves, masks, extra batteries, phones fully charged, cars parked a mile away. The first floor was easy. Dust and debris everywhere, the smell of mold and rust heavy in the air. Broken beds, wheelchairs toppled over, and the remnants of paperwork scattered across the floors. It was exactly what I imagined. Creepy, silent, abandoned. But we weren't there long before the first odd thing happened. In the east wing, we found a set of stairs leading down to a basement. They were narrow, metal, and rusted, descending into darkness so deep our flashlights barely penetrated it. Sam insisted we go down first. I didn't want to, but curiosity pushed me. Lily hesitated, but followed me reluctantly. Halfway down, I felt it. A vibration beneath my feet, faint but real. Not the creak of the stairs, not the building settling. Something moving, something alive. I froze. Sam shone his flashlight ahead. The basement opened into a large room, and that's when I saw it. Shadows moving in the far corner. Too fast to be human, or at least too unnatural. Probably rats, Sam whispered, though his voice wavered. We pressed forward cautiously. Then I heard it, a low, dragging sound, like someone pulling something heavy across the floor. My stomach sank. The shadows darted again, faster this time, closer to us. We turned to go back, but the stairs had disappeared. Not literally, but the path we had come seemed off. The walls looked different, rearranged, twisted. That's when we realized we weren't alone. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall, gaunt, wearing hospital garb that looked decades old. Its face was obscured by shadows, but the eyes glowed faintly in the flashlight beam. It didn't move like a person. Limbs jerky, almost robotic, but deliberate, purposeful. We tried to run, but the door we had entered through was gone, replaced by a blank wall. Panic set in. Lily screamed, and the sound echoed in the empty halls. The figure didn't respond to sound, it just moved. Always toward us, silently, dragging what I now realized was a body. Wrapped in a tattered hospital sheet, we hid behind overturned beds, trying to control our breathing. The figure stopped, just standing there, dragging the sheet. Then it began to speak, a low, garbled murmur that sounded like a broken tape recorder. Words I couldn't understand, but the tone was unmistakable. Threat, warning, malice. We moved silently, hugging walls, trying to reach the stairs again. Each turn, each hallway, seemed to stretch, elongate, warp. It was as if the building itself didn't want us to leave. Then we saw doors. Doors with handprints smeared in rust and grime. Behind one, faint light flickered, the sound of water dripping. I peered through a crack, bodies. Not mannequins, not props. Real bodies, preserved in various stages of decay, sitting in chairs, strapped to beds, some slumped over. And the smell made me gag. We had to get out. We ran. Down halls, through broken windows, crawling over debris. The figure followed, always just out of reach, silent except for the dragging of its burden. One of the floors gave way beneath Sam, and he went down screaming. I grabbed Lily and pulled her to safety. Sam's screams stopped. Finally, we found a back exit. It was barred, chained. I kicked and pushed, finally collapsing it enough to squeeze through. Outside, the night air hit me like a wall. The desert behind the hospital stretched into darkness, quiet and indifferent. Sam and Lily stumbled after me. We didn't stop running until we reached the cars. Sam was pale, shaking, muttering about the basement. We left without looking back. The next day, I went online, trying to find any information about the hospital. Everything had been scrubbed clean, no records, no photos, nothing. Locals claimed it was a psychiatric facility that had been abandoned in the 1970s, but nothing else. No mention of disappearances, experiments, or bodies. It was as if the building had never existed. Months passed. I tried to forget. I didn't talk about it, didn't tell anyone but Sam and Lily, but I started noticing things. Shadows at the edge of my vision. Objects moved from where I left them. Phone calls from unknown numbers, silent, breathing on the line. And in my dreams, the hospital, endless hallways, stairs that led nowhere, the figure dragging its burden, always following, watching. One night, I woke to the sound of scratching at my bedroom door. At first, I thought it was my cat, but the sound was too heavy, deliberate. I crept to the door, heart hammering, and peered through the crack. A shadow moved past the hallway. No face, no details, just presence. I slammed the door, bolted it, and slept with a kitchen knife under my pillow. I never went back to the hospital. I haven't talked about it much, haven't returned to that area, but I know it's still there, waiting, hungry, patient. And the thing I fear most isn't the hospital itself. It's the figure, the being that stalked the hallways, that can move silently, follow without leaving trace, and wait decades without leaving a mark. I don't know why it hasn't come for me directly. Maybe it's satisfied with letting me live in fear, or maybe it's still planning, still dragging its sheet, gathering what it needs. The last time I tried to convince myself it was over, I saw it. Outside my window, just a silhouette against the night sky, motionless, staring. And I realized it doesn't need the building to reach me. It never did. Now, I never leave the house after dark. I check every window, every corner, every shadow. I sleep with the lights on and doors locked. And I know, one day, it will return. And when it does, there will be nowhere to run, because it has waited this long, and patience is its greatest weapon.